The massive hospital ship Mercy's light drifted silently through the star-speckled void, its white hull gleaming under distant starlight. Red crosses marked its sides, a symbol recognized across the galaxy as a sign of hope and healing. Inside the ship's main medical bay, Dr. Peter Walsh watched his patient's vital signs stabilize on the holographic display. "Your appendix is fully healed, Ambassador," he said to the grateful Centaurian diplomat lying on the bed. "You'll be back to negotiations in no time." The ambassador's translator converted his clicks and whistles into English. "Earth medicine never ceases to amaze me. On my world, this would have taken weeks to heal." Captain Lisa Baker's voice came through the ship's communication system. "Dr. Walsh, please report to the bridge when you're finished." After ensuring his patient was comfortable, Peter made his way through the curved corridors of the massive vessel. Crew members and medical staff moved purposefully about their duties, some human, others from various alien species. The Mercy's light represented the best of humanity's commitment to healing, carrying over 2,000 medical personnel and able to treat patients from 40 different species. The bridge doors slid open with a soft hiss. Captain Baker stood at the main viewport, her short gray hair neatly trimmed, her uniform crisp despite the long hours she worked. Dr. Michelle Wright, the ship's head xenobiologist, was already there, studying data on a floating screen. "We've received a distress call," Lisa said without turning around. "A Zarkax mining colony is reporting multiple cases of an unknown illness. Their medical facilities are overwhelmed." Peter moved to look at the data Michelle was reviewing. "The Zarkax rarely ask for outside help. This must be serious." Michelle nodded, her dark fingers swiping through pages of medical readings. "Their biology is complex. Silicon-based, crystalline organ structures. We're one of the few ships equipped to treat them properly." "How far?" Peter asked. 6 hours at maximum safe speed," Lisa replied, finally turning to face them. "Frank Martinez in engineering says he can get us there in 5 if we push the engines." The captain's blue eyes showed concern. The Zarkax lived in the outer regions, areas where Earth's influence was still new and not always welcome. But that had never stopped them before. "Dr. Collins," Lisa called over the comm, "please prepare Isolation Ward 3 for possible infectious disease containment. Zarkax physiology protocols." "Already on it, Captain," Amy's voice replied. "Katie Phillips in communications is helping me coordinate with their medical team now." Peter watched as the stars outside began to streak by faster, the ship's engines humming with increased power. The Mercy's light was the fastest hospital ship ever built, capable of reaching any point in Earth-controlled space within 12 hours. They had earned a reputation for arriving exactly when needed, no matter the risk. Daniel White, the head nurse, appeared on the bridge. "All regular patients are stable, Captain. We've cleared emergency bays 1 through 4 and prepped the surgical units for crystalline physiologies." Lisa nodded in approval. "Good work, everyone. The Zarkax may not trust easily, but they'll learn what so many others have. When disaster strikes, humanity answers the call." The crew continued their preparations as the ship raced toward its destination. None of them could have known they were heading into a trap. None of them imagined that within 24 hours, their mission of mercy would trigger a war. And none of them realized that their actions in the coming crisis would change how the galaxy viewed humanity forever. The Mercy's light sailed on through the darkness, its white hull and red crosses a beacon of hope, while hidden enemies watched and waited, ready to teach humanity a lesson about the price of compassion. But they would learn their own lesson instead, that humanity's greatest strength lay in the very kindness they thought made it weak. The Mercy's light dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Zarkax mining colony. The small planetoid hung in space, its surface dotted with crystalline structures that sparkled against the dark rock. But something was wrong. "No response to our hails," Katie Phillips said from her communication station, fingers dancing over the controls. "The colony's emergency beacon is active, but I'm not picking up any other transmissions." Captain Lisa Baker felt unease crawl up her spine. In 15 years of emergency response missions, she had never seen a Zarkax facility this quiet. "Dr. Wright, what do your scans show?" Michelle frowned at her readings. "No signs of the reported illness. In fact, I'm not detecting any life signs at all." "It's a trap," Frank Martinez called out from engineering through the comm system. "Captain, I'm picking up energy signatures. 3 ships just dropped their cloaking fields." Dark shapes materialized around the hospital ship. The vessels were angular and predatory, their hulls covered in weapon ports. Lisa recognized them immediately. Krevtor warships. "This is Captain Lisa Baker of the Earth Hospital ship Mercy's Light," she broadcast. "We are an unarmed medical vessel responding to a distress call. Any aggressive action against us violates galactic law." The reply came in a harsh, grating voice. "This is War Leader Kastel of the Krevtor Liberation Force. Your species' weakness ends today. Helping lesser races makes you unworthy of galactic power." The first shots struck before Lisa could respond. The hospital ship's shields, designed to protect against radiation and space debris, flared under weapons fire. "Shields at 60%. Frank shouted. "They won't hold long against military-grade weapons." "Emergency protocols." Lisa commanded, "All patients to secure zones. Dr. Collins, begin evacuation procedures for critical care units." Through the viewport, Lisa watched the Krevtor ships circle like vultures. The Mercy's Light was fast, but had no weapons. Their only armor protected the patient wards. They were never meant for combat. Peter Walsh's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain, we have wounded from the first hit. Hull breach on Deck 7. Rerouting power to containment fields," Frank reported. "But we're losing structural integrity in sections 12 through 15. More impacts rocked the ship. Warning signals blared as system after system took damage. Lisa watched her crew respond with calm efficiency despite their fear. They had all trained for emergencies, but no one had expected a deliberate attack on a hospital ship. "Enemy ships are targeting our engine cores," Katie reported. "They're trying to disable us, not destroy us. They want to make an example of us," Lisa realized. She opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. Continue emergency procedures. Remember your oaths. The patients come first." In the medical bay, Peter and his team worked frantically to stabilize patients as the ship shuddered around them. The Centaurian ambassador helped them move other patients to safer areas, his own recovery forgotten in a crisis. "Direct hit to main power." Frank's voice was strained. "Switching to emergency systems. Shield generators are failing." Lisa gripped her command chair as another blast rocked the ship. The Krevtor were systematically taking them apart, confident in their superiority. They thought attacking an unarmed hospital ship proved their strength. "Captain," Katie called out, hope in her voice. "Before they jammed us, I got a message through to Earth Command. I used the new quantum channel. They couldn't block it." Lisa nodded grimly. Help would come, but would they survive long enough? The Krevtor had chosen their target carefully, thinking humanity's compassion made them soft. But they had made a terrible mistake. They had forgotten that the same determination that drove humans to heal could also drive them to fight. And attacking a hospital ship was about to teach them exactly why humanity's mercy had limits. Smoke filled the corridors of Deck 12 as Daniel White led a group of young alien patients through the emergency routes. The head nurse counted 6 Trilaxian children, their scaled skin reflecting the red emergency lights, and 2 juvenile Meptons whose tentacles wrapped around each other in fear. "Stay close," he told them, his translator making sure they all understood. "We're almost to the secure ward." Another blast rocked the ship. Daniel heard the hull groan ominously above them. Looking at his tablet, he saw the structural integrity readings dropping rapidly. They had minutes, maybe less. The children moved as quickly as they could, but the youngest Mepton was struggling. Daniel picked her up, her tentacles curling around his arm trustingly. They were 30 meters from safety when he heard the warning screech of failing metal. In the bridge, Captain Lisa watched in horror as sensors showed the hull breach forming. Deck 12 is losing pressure. We have people trapped down there. Frank's voice came through filled with static. Emergency force fields aren't responding in that section. Power systems are too damaged. Daniel saw the cracks forming in the ceiling. He looked at the distance to the secure ward, then at the children. They wouldn't all make it in time, but he could give them a chance. When I say run, move as fast as you can to the big red door, he told them. Don't stop for anything. He typed his medical override code into the nearest control panel, transferring all remaining emergency power in the section to the corridor's emergency fields. The hull finally gave way. Daniel pushed the children forward with one arm while holding the Mepton child with the other. Run. Now. They ran. Daniel stayed at the back, using his body to shield them from debris as the corridor began to decompress. His magnetized boots kept him from being pulled out, but he could feel the air rushing past them. Dr. Amy Collins waited at the secure ward's entrance. Hurry. We're losing the whole section. The children made it through the door. Daniel threw the Mepton child the last few meters into Amy's arms, just as his boots lost their grip. The vacuum pulled him back, but he managed to hit the emergency seal control as he was dragged away. In the medical bay, Peter Walsh worked desperately to save a crew member injured in the initial attack. The lights flickered as power fluctuated throughout the ship. Michelle Wright had turned her xenobiology lab into an emergency treatment center, using her knowledge to keep alien patients stable as life support systems failed. We lost Daniel. Amy's voice came through the comm, breaking with emotion. He saved the children, but he's gone. Katie Phillips wiped tears from her eyes, but kept working at her station. Captain, I'm picking up more ships dropping out of FTL. They're not Krefter signatures. The Krefter ships had stopped firing, probably surprised by the new arrivals. Through the bridge viewport, Lisa saw the newcomers, civilian vessels, dozens of them. Medical ships, transport ships, mining vessels, all dropping out of faster-than-light travel around the Mercy's light. This is Captain Rajpatal of the merchant vessel Star Trader, a new voice broadcast on all frequencies. We received your distress call. No one attacks a hospital ship in our space. More ships appeared, hundreds now. The civilian fleet positioned itself between the Mercy's light and the Kreftor warships. They were unarmed, their only defense their numbers and their determination. They're buying us time, Lisa realized. She opened a channel to engineering. Frank, how many patients can we evacuate? Emergency transporters are still working, he replied. We can get the critical cases out. The Krefter ships hung motionless, seemingly confused by the civilian response. They had expected to find weakness. Instead, they found humanity's strength, not in weapons or shields, but in the unbreakable bonds between those who chose to heal and those who chose to help. A soft chime echoed through Earth's defense headquarters as Admiral Susan Martinez watched the recording of the hospital ship attack for the third time. Her weathered face showed no emotion, but her hands gripped the edge of the command table tightly. Around her, the emergency response center hummed with activity. Message from the civilian fleet. Admiral, her communications officer said. They're holding position around the Mercy's light, but the Krefter are threatening to fire on them too. Susan straightened her uniform and faced the massive screen showing the gathered fleet commanders. The Krefter believe they've caught us defenseless. They think attacking healers makes them strong. It's time to show them how wrong they are. She pressed a button on her console, entering a code that hadn't been used since Earth joined the galactic community. Deep in asteroid fields and hidden space stations, doors began to open. Ships that no one knew existed powered up their engines. All commands, execute Protocol Guardian, she ordered. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. In the shadows of gas giants and behind cloaking fields, humanity's hidden fleet came to life. The massive battleship Retribution led the way, its black hull bristling with weapons that Earth had developed but never revealed. 30 more ships followed, each carrying technology that would make the galaxy's military powers pause. Fleet is assembled. Commander John Taylor reported from the Retribution's bridge. All ships report ready. Strike teams are in position. Susan's voice was cold as space when she opened a channel to all ships. This is Admiral Martinez. For 50 years, we've chosen peace. We've built hospitals instead of warships. We've shown mercy instead of force. The Krefter saw this as weakness. Today, they learn why it was a choice. The fleet jumped to faster than light speed, leaving the solar system in perfect formation. Years of secret drills and preparations were about to pay off. On the damaged Mercy's light, Katie Phillips suddenly sat up straighter at her communication station. "Captain, I'm picking up new signals. Hundreds of them. They're ours." The civilian ships protecting the hospital ship watched in awe as space itself seemed to tear open. The Retribution emerged first, its size making the Kreftor warships look small. More ships appeared behind it, their weapons already charged and ready. "This is Admiral Susan Martins of the Earth Defense Fleet." Her voice boomed across all channels. "You have attacked an unarmed hospital ship. You have threatened civilian rescuers. In doing so, you have violated not only galactic law, but basic human decency." The Krefter ships turned to face the new threat. Their leader's harsh voice came back, full of contempt. "So the humans have teeth after all. Your hidden fleet changes nothing. Our shields are superior to any known weapons." "Known weapons," Susan repeated softly. She nodded to her weapons officer. "Single shot. Low power. Show them." A beam of pure light shot from the Retribution's main gun. It passed through the lead Krefter ship's shields like they weren't there. Their engines died instantly, leaving them drifting in space. "That was 15% power," Susan informed them. "The next shot will not be a warning. You have 5 minutes to power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. After that, we will disable your ships one by one." Dr. Peter Walsh, watching from the Mercy's Light's medical bay, felt a mix of pride and sadness. Next to him, Dr. Michelle Wright treated patients as she watched the screen, her face showing the same complicated emotions. "We never wanted this," Peter said quietly. "No," Michelle agreed, "but we're ready for it, and we'll treat their wounded just the same as any others." The Krefters' response came in the form of charged weapons. They had made their choice. Susan gave the order, and humanity's hidden guardians moved in to protect those who had sworn to heal. Commander John Taylor sat in his stealth ship's cockpit, watching the Krefter vessels through advanced sensors that humanity had kept hidden for decades. His small attack craft, the Shadow, was invisible to enemy scanners. 5 more ships like his waited nearby, their crews ready. "Strike Team Alpha, begin approach," he ordered quietly. "Remember your training. Disable, don't destroy." The stealth ships moved forward like black ghosts against the stars. On his display, John watched the Kreftor warships firing uselessly at the Retribution's defenses. They still hadn't realized that the real threat was already among them. "Admiral Martinez, strike team in position," he reported. "Execute attack plan." Susan's voice came back clearly. "Show them what they've awakened." John's hands moved across his controls with careful precision. "All units, target their engine cores. 3-second bursts only." The stealth ship struck from 6 different directions at once. Beams of focused energy sliced through the Kreftor shields like they weren't there. The enemy ship's engines flickered and died one by one. "How?" The Kreftor war leader's voice shook with rage and fear. "Our sensors show nothing. This is impossible." On the Mercy's Light, Dr. Peter Walsh worked to stabilize an injured crew member while listening to the battle communications. Through the medical bay's window, he could see flashes of light as the Earth ships systematically disabled the Krefter fleet. "Doctor," Michelle called from across the room, "I'm getting readings from the Krefter ships. life support systems failing on 2 of them. Peter grabbed his emergency kit. Captain Baker, request permission to prepare for rescue operations. They'll have wounded over there. Lisa's voice came back tired but determined. Permission granted. Admiral Martinez has already authorized medical response once the ships are secured. The battle continued, but it was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The Earth ships moved with impossible precision, disabling weapons, engines, and shields while carefully avoiding crew areas. It was like watching surgeons remove a disease while protecting healthy tissue. Second wave, move in, John ordered. His strike team pulled back as larger Earth ships approached the disabled Crefter vessels. Their hulls opened to reveal boarding pods. This is Lieutenant Mary Patterson of the Earth Marine Corps. A new voice broadcast. Crefter crews, prepare to be boarded. We are here to secure your ships and provide medical assistance. Do not resist. The Crefter war leader's ship, now powerless and drifting, tried one last act of defiance. They aimed their emergency thrusters toward the Mercy's light, trying to ram the hospital ship. John saw it happen. His stealth ship was closest. Without hesitation, he inserted the shadow between the Crefter vessel and its target. Carefully calculated energy pulses from his weapons pushed the enemy ship off course. You see, he transmitted to the Crefter bridge. We could have destroyed you at any time. We chose not to. That's the strength you don't understand. The battle ended not with explosions or destruction, but with silence. The Crefter fleet hung motionless in space, their mighty warships now as helpless as they had tried to make the Mercy's light. All ships disabled, John reported to Admiral Martinez. Minimal casualties on their side. Ready for medical teams. Susan's voice carried satisfaction, but no joy. Well done, Commander. Begin rescue operations. Let's show them how real warriors treat their defeated enemies. From the Mercy's light, Peter and his medical team launched in protected shuttles toward the Crefter ships. They carried supplies, medicines, and something the Crefter had never expected to receive from those they had attacked. Mercy. The Earth fleet held position around the battlefield, their hidden power now revealed to the galaxy. But it was the medical ships launching from the Mercy's light that truly showed humanity's strength, the power to choose healing over vengeance, even in victory. Lieutenant Mary Patterson stood guard in the Mercy's light's newly established secure ward, watching as Dr. Peter Walsh treated a wounded Crefter officer. The alien's dark scales were dull with pain, but his eyes showed confusion more than fear. Why do you help us? The Crefter asked through his translator. We attacked your ship. We tried to kill you. Peter cleaned a plasma burn with gentle hands. Because that's what we do. It's not just our job. It's who we are. More wounded arrived from the disabled Crefter ships. Earth Marines kept watch, but their weapons were powered down. The only battles being fought now were against injury and death. On the bridge, Captain Lisa Baker reviewed damage reports with Admiral Susan Martinez on the main screen. The Mercy's light's hull showed deep scars from the attack, but her medical bays were full and functioning. The Crefter war leader is asking to speak with you, Katie Phillips reported from her communications station. He's requesting asylum. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Asylum. After what they did. Their own high command has ordered his execution for failure, Katie explained. They're saying he brought shame to their species by losing to mere healers. The captain thought for a moment, then nodded. Put him through to my ready room. Admiral, would you join this conversation? In the medical bay, Michelle Wright worked alongside Peter, her xenobiology knowledge proving vital in treating the Crefter wounded. Their biology is fascinating, she said as she adjusted a medical scanner. Their cellular structure can actually absorb energy from weapons fire. That's why they thought their shields were unbeatable. And why they never imagined someone would develop weapons to disable rather than destroy, Peter added, understanding dawning in his eyes. A young Crefter warrior on a nearby bed watched them work. Unlike the others, his wounds had come from the original distress call site. He had been part of the team that set the trap. "We thought healing was weakness," he said quietly. "Our teachers told us that helping others meant you couldn't help yourself." Mary shifted her position to better hear him, though her hand stayed near her weapon. The Marine had seen enough combat to know that understanding your enemy was as important as fighting them. "Look around," she told him. "Every person here chose to help others. But when you attacked us, we proved we could fight too. Strength isn't about choosing between healing and fighting. It's about knowing when to do each." In her ready room, Lisa faced the Krevtor war leader on her screen. His proud bearing was gone, replaced by genuine fear. "My life is forfeit," he said. "Our laws demand death for such failure. But seeing your people treat our wounded, watching your warriors show mercy, I begin to understand what we missed about humans." Admiral Martinez's voice came through clearly. "You attacked a hospital ship. There must be consequences. But Earth doesn't demand blood for blood. We'll offer asylum under strict conditions. You and your crews will help rebuild everything you damage, and you'll work in medical support roles for 5 years." The war leader's translator crackled as he gave a harsh laugh. "You sentence us to learn healing as punishment. Truly, humans are strange." "Not punishment," Lisa corrected him. "Education. You'll learn why we value both strength and mercy." Throughout the ship, human medical teams worked alongside Earth Marines to care for friend and foe alike. In the pediatric ward, some of the children Daniel White had died saving now shared their toys with young Krevtor patients whose parents were among the wounded. The Mercy's light had been attacked because the Krevtor saw kindness as weakness. Now, as the hospital ship's crews demonstrated both power and compassion, they taught their former enemies the most important lesson of all. True strength lies not in the ability to harm, but in the choice to heal. 3 months after the attack, the Mercy's light docked at Earth's primary space station for repairs. Its white hull still showed battle scars, but the red crosses gleamed fresh and bright under the station's lights. Captain Lisa Baker stood at the main viewport, watching repair crews work alongside several Krevtor engineers. "The hull breach on Deck 12 is almost fixed," Frank Martinez reported, checking his tablet. "Those Krevtor workers really know their stuff. They've even improved our shield designs." Lisa nodded, remembering the lives lost in that breach. Daniel would have appreciated that. His sacrifice is helping us build something better. In the medical bay, Dr. Peter Walsh supervised as a former Krevtor warrior changed bandages on a Trilaxian patient. The alien's hands, once trained only for combat, now moved with careful gentleness. "Well done," Peter said. "You're learning quickly." The Krevtor ducked his head, and what they had learned was a gesture of respect. "I never knew healing could be as challenging as fighting. Each patient is like a different battle, but the enemy is pain and death." Michelle Wright entered the bay, carrying new data from the Xenobiology lab. The Krevtor High Command sent another message. "They're requesting we share our medical technology." "Not our weapons?" Peter asked, surprised. "No," Michelle smiled. "They say understanding how we heal might help them understand how we think. They're starting to see strength differently." On the station's observation deck, Admiral Susan Martinez met with representatives from 20 alien species. The Mercy's light story had spread across the galaxy, changing how others viewed humanity. "We always wondered why humans spent so much effort helping others," the Zarkak's ambassador said. "Now we understand. You became strong enough to defend yourselves because you cared enough to help everyone." Lieutenant Mary Patterson walked her security rounds through the ship's corridors. In the recreation area, she passed human crew members playing games with their former Krevtor attackers. Children from 6 different species ran past, playing some complicated game they had invented together. "Strange, isn't it?" Katie Phillips said, joining her walk. "A month ago, we were fighting them. Now they're helping us rebuild." "Not so strange," Mary replied. "They're learning what we already knew. There's strength in healing, and mercy in power." In the memorial garden, a new plaque hung beside the viewport. It listed the names of those lost in the attack, with Daniel White's name at the top. Below the names, words glowed softly. They died protecting our mission to heal. Their sacrifice taught the galaxy that compassion is humanity's greatest strength. Captain Lisa made her final rounds before the ship would begin its next mission. The Mercy's light had been repaired, improved, and was ready to answer calls for help again. But now it carried a new message. Humanity's hospitals weren't signs of weakness, but proof of their strength. "Captain," Katie called from her station. "We're receiving a distress call. A mining colony in the outer systems reports a medical emergency. Any chance it's another trap?" Frank asked, only half joking. Lisa smiled. "Doesn't matter. We go where we're needed. That's what makes us human." She pressed the ship-wide comm. "All hands, prepare for departure. We have people who need our help." As the Mercy's light pulled away from the station, its engines humming with power, other ships moved aside respectfully. The hospital ship's scars were badges of honor now, telling a story that would be remembered for generations. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity's greatest weapons weren't their hidden fleets or advanced technology. Their true power lay in their choice to heal rather than harm, to help rather than hurt, to show mercy even to enemies. They were strong not despite their compassion, but because of it. The Mercy's light sailed on into the darkness, its white hull and red crosses no longer just symbols of healing, but reminders of humanity's dual nature. The people who could fight like warriors but chose to heal like angels.